Hey guys, welcome back to this series where we start working on developing a tower defense game with these cool mechanics like being able to control a turret, as you can see in the background. And this is exactly what we're going to be developing this episode. So we want a system where we can have our turrets and have our camera. And when we click on one of them, the turret stops being automated and we take full control over it. Hope you enjoy this episode and let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is actually download Cinemachine, which is our camera controller that we're going to be using to manipulate the camera. So just click on your package manager, click on Unity registry on the left, and download Cinemachine. It shouldn't take too long to download. Then let's just jump straight into the code. So in our turret controller, we can start by creating a game, a boolean that will basically dictate whether we are controlling the turret or not to stop the turret from being automated. And then we can just create an if statement here that just checks if it is being controlled by us, and then it will do its own sets of logic rather than running the automation. And let's just change it to else if the current turret is non-null, that it will continue on its own. Okay, now let's create a player control method and feed it to our if statement up here. And the player control method is going to be super simple. So if we will get a raycast from the camera to the target where the camera is looking at, and then we would move our aim-at object, which we developed in the first episode, to move towards that position where we are looking at, so that the turret would be facing where the camera is facing. And this could be done super easily by creating a raycast from the main camera's position and shoot it straight forward, and that will get the center of where the camera is looking at. So here in line 95, we are just creating the look, the raycast position. In line 97, we're getting where it hits. And if it doesn't hit anything, then we're just gonna move up the raycast by 100 points, and then just get that position as our hit. Because let's be honest, sometimes you might be looking up or somewhere there's nothing, and the raycast will never hit anything, and that might cause an issue. Then let's just set the aim-at to be equal to the look point, which is the aim-at dot transform the position, and we make it equal to the look point. Okay, and then next we have to move the player control into the late update, and the reason we do that is just so that it creates it in a much more smoother way, because regular update kind of so jittery. And then let's create a way to smooth out the camera even more, or to smooth out the turret's rotation even more. So we're going to be creating this smooth damp, which is going to be a super simple line of code that's already provided by Unity. You can do aim-at transform position, and then at the look point, so you move it from the aim-at to the look point, and we're gonna have the reft be the velocity, which is gonna be just, it really doesn't matter, so we're just gonna keep it as normal, and then we're gonna create a smooth time as well. The smooth time will just dictate how fast it rotates and stuff like that. So just at the top, create the smooth time, and you can adjust this to whatever you like, and later on when we are testing it, you'll be able to see exactly what it's doing. So again, just make sure you declare the variables at the top. I'm creating the smooth time with a default of 0.06, and don't forget to create your vel as well. Now we wanted that whenever we hit left click, it would shoot as well. So make sure you include the Unity input system at the top, and then go down back to the if statement and just do mouse.current.left button is pressed, and that basically just fetches if the mouse is pressed or not. And we've already created a fire method, so we're just going to include the method here as well. And all that's going to do is check when our mouse is pressed and it will fire. So now let's actually set up the camera system. So let's create an empty object, and we're just going to name it camera base, and we're going to feed that into our base. And then actually create the camera from Cinemachine. So just go down to Cinemachine and create a Cinemachine camera. And then make sure you feed your camera base into the tracking target, and set your position control to hard lock the target and your rotation to hand tilt. Something else I did set up here is just the camera position, which you can just grab the base and lift it up and back to be behind the camera. And if you test this, it should work perfectly. You should be able to move the camera, and then you'd see the turret move, and you should be able to shoot it like that, and the bullets work exactly like previously. Okay, now that it works, we need to create a way for the camera to be able to click into the turret and back out of. But first, let's fix this annoying jitter and do some camera settings. So, to fix the jitter, first of all, I will set all of the acceleration times to 0 so that it doesn't have this damp, and make sure that the range over here is set to -40 to 40. I've tested -30 to 30 and it doesn't look all that good, so -40 would be a little bit better, so you can look down a bit more and look up a bit more. Find that to be the sweet spot. And then make sure in the pan axis you just adjust the value so you can see the turret in the camera, and that way it could look a bit better when you start controlling it. And now, as you can see, it's so much better. It looks so smooth, and the camera system is actually working really well. And make sure you don't forget to feed the camera into your turret. And now we can actually start working on the camera logic. So create a camera controller in your main camera, and here is where we're going to do most of the work for the logic of clicking between turrets and back. So let's actually start. The first thing we're going to need to initialize is the game object main camera, and so that's going to be our main camera folder. And we're going to also initialize a secondary camera, which is going to be the camera we are looking to zoom into. Okay. Next, we need to create a way to check for whenever we do click on anything, really, that it does check if there's something there for us to control. So if the mouse is pressed and the secondary camera is null, which means we don't have a secondary camera, which actually I'm going to change to is active in hierarchy. And basically that just checks if the camera is already set, and if it is, then we don't want our left click to be doing anything, because we'll be already controlling a camera. And here I'm just going to create our main camera that we're going to be looking at, and we're just going to move it back and up like that, just for the demonstration purposes, really. And now we can create a raycast to shoot from our camera to wherever the mouse clicked, and then we can check if the object we clicked is a turret or not, and control it if it is, and ignore it if it's not. So to do this, it's super simple. Just create this line, which is just a raycast from the point of the camera and using Unity's screen point array method, you can just send the array from the camera to wherever the mouse is clicked. And then let's get the information of the raycast itself, which is a very simple raycast. And then we check if the object that we did hit has the tag turret in it, and if it does, then we just assume control. Also, I have to apologize if you hear the cat in the background. He's been whining all day and I don't know what to do with him really. Anyways, let's get back to this. So we check the hit info transform and we fetch its turret controller, so we can get the camera from there, and then we can set the camera to be active. Actually, it would be much better if we save the turret so we can access it later and access other functions too. So this is a much cleaner way of doing it. So selected turret is null and saving the turret here. This way is so much more modular. So yeah, and then now we can get the selected turret dot camera that we're fetching from the turret script, and we can set it to active. And we set the main camera to false, to inactive, sorry. And this way it will create that effect of zooming in that will be handled by Cinemachine. And then we can check if the turret isn't null and we did press escape, that it would just bring us back out. So if the turret is non-null and escape is pressed, then we just flip everything. So whatever was true we set to false, and whatever was false we set to true. And then we make sure to nullify our main selected turret function. Sorry, a variable. Now this should work, and make sure you do feed the camera into it, the main camera into the script, and then create a turret tag and give the turret tag. Now you see when we click, nothing actually happens, and the reason is that the turret doesn't have a collider on it. So the turret needs to have a collider for it to actually work. Okay, so let's create a collider. So in your turret, create a box collider, and then there is this edit collider button which you can click to start modifying how the collider looks. I'm creating this very massive collider for now. Honestly, this doesn't matter that much. I just make it bigger so the user doesn't have to click in multiple areas or in a specific area to get the turret, just in the general direction of the turret. Later we would optimize this much better, but for now this works and it works perfectly. So now if we just play the game and actually click on the turret, you can see we zoom in and start shooting, but the problem is the turret doesn't know that we're controlling it yet. So in this, back in the script, just make sure that the controlled by player is set to true, and also flip it when we do go out of it to be false. And that's all. Now you can see that when we click play, also I'm just gonna modify the ease in 2.5 seconds to make it look better. Now you can see when we click on the turret, it takes us in really fast, and we can control it, and then when we press escape, it goes out. And then we can just keep doing that. Again, in the game itself, I won't have it be escape to do that, but to do something else, I still haven't figured out what we're going to do yet. But for now, this is amazing and it works perfect. So yeah, that's all for this episode. I really hope you enjoyed. The upcoming episodes are going to have way more stuff, and this season should be ending soon, and we'll be creating a devlog very soon. Again, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for following me. If you like this episode, be sure to join our Discord, and if you have any more questions, please let me know. Any comments or feedback, I would highly appreciate. Thank you so much guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.